Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aditi, and this week we are trying something new. I recently saw Emma Watson's podcast on Jay Shetty, and it was so insightful, and I really related with her story on so many levels. And I thought, why not I share it with you guys as well? So, in this video, I'll be reacting to the podcast as well as I will share my thoughts on how I feel what Emma Watson is going through. And this podcast is about why she's taking a break from acting. And she even mentioned that she is highly sensitive person. So this will be very insightful for all of us. I'll be playing the podcast in between, and then I'll be pausing the podcast when I want to share my thoughts. So this is going to be a long video, I think, because the podcast itself is like 2.5 hours long. Obviously, I will skip in between, but still, it's going to be a longer video. So take a cup of tea or juice or any drink you think you like drinking when you listen to someone. So grab a few snacks, and I hope you enjoy this podcast and listen to my thoughts and everything. Let's get started.
Space to have a conversation that you feel you haven't had before means the world to me. And so thank you for trusting me. And I look forward to getting to know you so much better. But let's dive in. I wanted to start by asking you, like you said something there that was really beautiful because you stopped for a moment, then you said it's easier to be honest. And I wanted to understand what that meant to you and how that feels.
Such a big part of my job was trying to think 3 steps ahead of how everything that I would say could negatively impact the film that I was trying to do justice to and do service to, and make sure that people understood what the director had intended. And I felt this enormous sense of responsibility all the time to honor so many people's work that put together something like a film, or even to some degree, I just did a fragrance with Prada, and it's the first perfume bottle that you can like refill. And I don't know, I I take my job seriously, I guess. And so interviews to me felt a lot like chess, and it required so much energy. And I think what's nice about the way that I'm showing up today is I'm just showing up for myself. And for once, I'm not here to speak on behalf of anyone else or anything else other than myself, which is unusual.
Yeah, I think
So I can already start relating to her because you take your job seriously when you are sensitive and you understand the repercussions of what you are saying. You are responsible, you think about others because you're empathetic. And what she said about being honest is so true because it's so important to be truthful. And I think what she's trying to say is sometimes she wasn't allowed to say what she wanted to say because she had that responsibility on her shoulders that if she said something wrong, that could be taken, like millions of people watch her. So she has to set a good example. She cannot just say anything. And this thing about being truthful, it's so important for a highly sensitive person to have that integrity. So maybe sometimes she wanted to say her own truth, but she would not be able to because she has that limited scope. because she is working with someone. So she was not able to share her own opinions, I guess, what she wants to say.
I think it's such a fascinating thing because as a viewer, even before I got closer to the industry, as a viewer, everything's made to feel in traditional media so easy and it has levity and it feels like you're getting someone's real personality.
Yeah.
And then you realize that there's definitely reality to it
Yes.
and truth to it.
Yes.
But at the same time, naturally, it's work.
Yeah.
And there's a job. And I think it's not as, and you can shed more light on this, I don't think it's always as insidious or as dark as people may think it is, but there's just, it's a job and it's work and there's results that matter.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. And I think within those contexts, everyone is trying to be as authentic as they humanly can be. But there's something about, I think it's why I mentioned earlier about why I felt like this was a good space, is there's something inherently written into certain types of forms of media, which is that it doesn't matter what intention or how authentically you want to show up, the form like somehow doesn't allow it.
Yeah.
To some degree. And I've become obsessed with this recently. I've been looking at, okay, what is written into the form of something like Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or a podcast versus, or a photograph versus a film versus a piece of writing. And it's really interesting to see what a different medium or different form allows or doesn't allow, and or like actually creates or encourages. I've never done a podcast before, but I think what I love about it is the intimacy of it. It's like I feel like people listen to podcasts when they're like, I certainly do anyway, like first thing in the morning when I'm taking my shower or I'm going on my walk or I'm making my breakfast. It's really like personal, intimate time. And I think the long form version of these kinds of conversations allows for such a different kind of discussion that I didn't think was possible before.
Yeah, absolutely. I can agree with you more. I was going
Again, a really great insight, because what happens is when you are so sensitive, you are, that means that you are very aware of what other people are thinking and what the society is thinking, or what the paradigm actually is. So what she's saying about what, there's certain things that are written in what you can say or not say inside a social media, certain forms of, like she said about Twitter or something. So basically what that means is you know what is required of you. Like for example, in Indian households, nobody will tell you, like nobody will tell you that, maybe they tell you also sometimes, but obviously these, um being a lawyer, doctor and all these things are more reputed than being an artist or being something creative, musician, dancer. They are not that reputed, respected forms, of being culturally in India. So I mean now, not in the past, but now it is certainly like that. So what she's saying, she was aware of what was, like there is a paradigm. But I hope I'm able to explain you what I'm trying to say. So basically, I believe that HSPs are here to break the paradigm. So, there are certain types of stories which come in films. Like Indian Bollywood is famous for, was or is actually famous for having fairy tale kind of larger than life stories with grand musicals and hero and heroines dancing in the mountains and all those things. That is not realistic, and it was never supposed to be. It was supposed to be larger than life. But that is what Indian cinema or Bollywood movies are about. But now people are breaking that mold. More and more realistic stories are coming up. So that is what I mean. Sometimes you have to break that cycle or break that paradigm and bring something new. That's what she is saying when she is saying there's certain expectations or certain forms of media allow certain things. Because like you can say, for example, youtube has that feel that you can do anything, you can post anything, you can be as creative as you want to. Nobody will take that freedom away from you. Like, I'm doing this kind of video, or somebody is doing a podcast, or somebody is doing comedy skits, or somebody is showing their art, like teaching you how to make art, how to do painting. So YouTube has that creative freedom, right? Twitter has that feel that most people will tell about their opinions, politics and all. So maybe you have that certain um expectation, or sort of, because it has been going on for a long time. It has um like you expect that from that form.
I'm going to ask you actually, because I want everyone to get up to date with where you are now. Like, what is your day-to-day life look like? You just said, like,
Yeah.
I wake up and I shower and I go on a walk. Like, what does your day-to-day life look like right now? And what's it made of? And what are the things that you love and look forward to?
I recently started riding a bicycle, and yes, I started riding a bicycle before my driving ban, but now it's particularly fortuitous that I also ride a bicycle for that reason. But
I love how that was mainstream news.
yeah, oh my God. I was getting phone calls, like, it's on the BBC, it's on international, worldwide news. I was like, my shame is everywhere. This is, I mean, what I say, I don't know. I think in a funny way, what the sweetest result of it was getting so many messages from people being like, happened to me too. I feel you. This is awful. It sucks. Which was kind of nice in a way. But
want a lift?
yeah, totally. Do you need a lift? I was like, actually, yes. But I think, again, it's funny. Like, I went from, when you work on movies, I don't know if people know this, but like, they literally will not insure you to drive yourself to work. I've asked so many times.
So you have to be driven.
You have to be driven. It's like not a choice. And especially because they need you there, down to the minute, basically, depending on what they have going on. And so I went from basically only driving myself on weekends or during holiday to then when I became a student, driving myself all the time. And yeah, I did not have the experience or skills, clearly, which I now will and do. But I think, again, this was one of these like awkward transitions I made from kind of living this like very, very structured life to living a life where I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to get myself to this place and I'm going to like do this thing that I've basically not done since I was 10 years old. So it's been a discovery and a journey that's been, I guess humbling, because on a movie set, I'm able to do all of these like extremely complex things, stunts, sing, dance, like do this thing, do that, whatever. And I'm like, yep, don't worry about it, guys. No worries, I've got you. And then I get home and I'm like, okay, Emma, you seem unable to remember keys. You seem unable to like keep yourself at 30 miles an hour in a 30-mile speed limit. Like you don't seem able to do some pretty like basic life things. And it was definitely kind of, I had days where I just wanted to turn around to people and be like, I used to be good at things, okay? I used to be really good at things. And I know it doesn't look like that right now, but I used to, I can do things normally.
Their wallet doesn't know where things are in the States.
Okay, this makes me feel
every time I go back, I seem to
so much better.
Yeah.
Oh, like very endearing and like really, really, I'm just trying to kind of that the degree to which they can admit to, actually, I'm just like scrabbling around, So I do love the people who are just willing to be like, yeah, it's not going so well today. I'm like, great, amazing, what a good starting point. Like, I love to see people who are like, I'm really bad at this, but I'm gonna try. Like, I love
because everyone will see it, or
was sort of, I mean, I'm someone who's always cared about vulnerability and authenticity, but I think I was also forced into it to a degree that maybe even I wasn't ready for, and that like I just started so young that like I had to learn in public. I had to make mistakes in public. And here's what I know now. And I think I agree with you. I think it's becoming increasingly difficult to learn in public and continuing to learn saying. And I think you can only do that if you take a minute sometimes and listen to some people who aren't you, and like not just the sound of my own wonderful voice. So yeah, it's been great. I think also I wanted to be inspired. I think being around my favorite piece has been being around young people who still believe that the world is malleable and things are changeable and that like anything can be done is such important energy. There's so much dystopian fiction at the moment and dystopian movies.
It's all dark.
It's so dark. And I'm just like, what happened to thinking about the utopia? What happened to like planning for the best case scenario? Like where did we lose vision, excitement?
So she is talking about her she is taking a PhD. So she went back to school recently, so she's talking about that experience.
Imagination, possibility. So I think it's been it's been wonderful to be around young people and just to sit time. Like how are you still managing to study and learn, because that seems like it's important to you?
Yeah, you reminded me as you were talking of one of my spiritual teachers, my monk teacher, who always said to me, if you want to move 3 steps forward, you have to go 3 steps deep first.
Whoa.
And what I found often in my life is I'm trying to go 4 steps forward and I haven't yet gone 4 steps deep. And so it's almost like, I mean, this is probably a terrible analogy, but maybe thinking of the movie The Substance. I don't know if you haven't learned and you haven't experimented and you haven't attempted, is taking away from your ability to move forward. Wow. And sometimes I think when we feel stuck or when we think things are not moving or they're not progressing, it may be a sign to say, well, pause and go deeper for a second, or pause and go inward for a second. And so to me, hearing that from you, I find that, and I definitely fail at this all the time. There are so many times I'm trying to push more forward than I've gone deep. And so whenever I notice that myself and I notice that I'm just kind of trying everything and nothing's working, it's actually just the universe and self saying to me, go read, go study. And so I found that I've had to really carve out time to make time to do what I love, which is to read and study. But I found that I'm someone who doesn't love 30 minutes a day. I'm not that kind of a reader. I'm someone who needs to read for 3 or 4 hours, if not more. And so I found that carving out deep, immersive time is more important to me than this kind of mechanical 30, 40 minutes a day, which is great for you if that works for you as a habit. It doesn't for me because I'm a bit of an extremist and I just need to spend a whole weekend reading as opposed to, I don't need to read every day. So I try once a month on a weekend to just absorb into a subject that I love. And I'll take a course, I'll go to a class, I'll watch a TED Talk online, I'll read as many books as I can, and I try and immerse myself that way. What's your learning style?
I'm the same as you. And actually, someone who I really respect and ask for advice for often, and I ask for feedback on myself, he said to me, Emma, I think if you did 90% of what you wanted to do at 50% of the speed, you would get so much more, like life would be so much better. And I was like, wow, 50% of the speed and only 90% of what I want to do. And he was like, I think that's the minimum, to be honest. And I was like, wow. But I think what you said resonates. I think I often have to remind myself that it's not about speedily.
Oh, so what they said about going deeper before you go forward, that's why you have to take a pause when you are starting something big. Even I have been guilty of that. And I recently like realized that I push myself too hard because it's like I feel negative emotions also strongly. I feel positive emotions strongly and negative emotions strongly. So I feel the fear I when I have to do something really out of my comfort zone, and I'm kind of person who loves doing things that are out of my comfort zone. So I really pushed myself and very harshly, I would say. I would do it before I'm ready, and that is the mainstream advice, but it's not good advice at all. I mean, yes, you have to start doing it because ultimately you are never ready. You have to push yourself out of your comfort zone, but you don't have to throw yourself in the water. You have to first put your feet in the water, then slowly climb down the stairs and go into the water, get the feel of the water, and then you start swimming with a floaty, and then ultimately you learn how to swim. You get a mentor, you get a coach who will help you with swimming. But if you just throw yourself in the swimming pool without all those things, you can even get drowned. You can get drowned, right? So you don't have to be so harsh and push yourself every time. You have to do it slowly. There has to have be a balance in things. That's why HSPs get more anxious because we have not learned how to do things with love. We haven't developed that relationship, loving relationship with our own selves, with our fears, our anxieties, our worries, our inner child. Because most of us have grown up with really harsh parents or whatever be the case. But you have to learn to be super gentle, loving, and compassionate with your inner child when you do something new. And what Jay Shetty said, that is so true because when you want to jump, when you learn to leap ahead, you have to go deep. And go deeper doesn't mean you always have to gain more knowledge. It means you have to get more wisdom. Wisdom is combination of knowledge and faith and experience. So yes, this is a very good advice that when you want to go 3 steps ahead, you first allow yourself to go 3 steps deeper and expand your consciousness so that you're able to hold the responsibility or the abundance that or whatever that is going to come with you stepping ahead. And what just Emma said about going at 50% speed, that is also true because we're so impatient sometimes that we have to have what we want. We don't understand that our body is still catching up because of what happens is as a highly sensitive person you just know that yeah this is going to happen like this like you have that insight that yeah this is going to happen, but we are living in a 3D reality there, like we are in matter, like this is a body and we have other humans, other things also that play a huge part. Uh, so it's not like you decide something and it's just going to happen. There is a transition that happens So you have to let yourself flow through all the nitty gritties. So yeah, going at 50% speed because you have to enjoy the journey, right? Enjoying the journey.
Getting somewhere, it's just not the point. Things are supposed to happen with a certain timing. And so yeah.
Yeah, HSPs can be very goal oriented, so it's important to enjoy the journey.
Resonates. And
Taking
to
it
your point,
slow.
I cannot just sit for 30 minutes and look at something.
Yeah.
I need kind of like a week on holiday, and then I'll start to deeply get into something, and I need quiet, and I hyper focus, and that's when I love it. But I can't do little itty bitty bits. It just drives me nuts.
It's same. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So
it doesn't work for me.
Resonates.
You said that you felt that you had to learn in public and that you made mistakes. Like, what were mistakes that felt like mistakes then that made you feel like, oh gosh, I made that mistake in public, but I was 10 years old or whatever it was. And now you look back and you think, oh, I was able to process it.
Yeah, I think the big one was feminism and intersectional feminism. And frankly, it just like wasn't taught. I had to really seek out, and I'm really grateful actually that I was in many ways quite lovingly called in, as opposed to, I mean, some of it was not, but I think text, which I have not wrong, called Art Shelf. Sometimes is good. Actually, I think that was when I started to learn, actually me being uncomfortable in a space might be a good sign, because it might mean I'm about to learn something. And I want to attribute this. That was Mara I. Larasai who helped me understand that, and was a very, very valuable teaching. So now when I'm in a space and listening to things and I feel uncomfortable, I don't think it means I need to bolt or something bad's happening.
Yeah.
Maybe something really good is about to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that goes back to what we started with, this idea.
Again, this is a very good advice that you don't have to run when you are uncomfortable. Some uncomfortables are good. So it is all about the context and all about what is happening. Like if someone is sharing their opinion and you don't like it, that is making you uncomfortable, it's okay. You can just be there and don't agree to their opinion and just be there. You don't have to leave. You don't have to accept, but you can just listen, right? So it is totally dependent on the context, and being uncomfortable is not always bad, because when you get out of your comfort zone, obviously you will feel uncomfortable. It is not comfortable at all, but you are learning new things, so it's all good.
Of attempting means discomfort.
Yeah, it does.
And attempting means incomplete.
Yeah.
And I love that point you made, that actually whenever we're sharing anything, it's not that it's not true, it's that it's not complete.
Yes.
And mostly when we see people say things or share ideas, it's very rare to have anyone ever share a complete idea, because that means they would have had to think about it from every single vantage point.
Yeah.
Which is not even humanly possible.
It's not possible. It's not possible. And I think Adrienne Marie Brown, I don't know if you've ever had, she wrote an amazing book, which is one of her more recent ones, which is called Loving Corrections. And she speaks to kind of exactly this, which is there's kind of this like ire that we see online when people don't attribute something perfectly to someone else, or they're missing something. And it's like, isn't the whole point of this that we're in conversation? And if it's the right person, you can see that a good intention is there, then maybe we can kind of do it in a way that doesn't need to be, I mean, obviously there's important time and place for holding people accountable. But maybe, I don't know, attributing like, great, we're all going to help each other kind of pad this out, fill this out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a hard. I think that's the hard part. It's like, how do you differentiate between holding someone accountable and giving them grace? And that's a really interesting discussion in and of itself. And I don't think I have the answer or know exactly what it is, but I feel like that's a thought exercise as humans that if we were to do, it would actually, I don't know. What's your take?
Maybe the grace is attributing good intention, and the accountability is the courage it takes to actually say something to someone. Because it's such a scary thing to do, and it often requires a lot of emotional labor. And I find this a lot as a woman, especially as a woman who's dating, that
I love how clearly she speaks and she has so much depth in every line. Like, you can't say things like this if you haven't thought about it on a deep level.
like I will just be like, is it worth me explaining? Is it worth me explaining this thing? Or should I just not take the time to do this? Because sometimes I care about doing it kindly and compassionately, and it's very rare for me to attribute bad intent to anyone. But, sometimes it does fall on deaf ears, and you're like, that text message took me like 40 minutes like to word perfectly, or that voice note or whatever. And you're like, is this making a difference? Like, am I getting through to is transformative justice real? Like, is this label worth it? But I think I don't have a perfect answer. I haven't lived through enough of it to know. I guess I've just reached a point where it's like, I'd rather die trying. I'd rather die having tried. And maybe some small piece of it, even if it's not now, even if it's at some future point, like something I've said just like goes, oh, something. But the back of my mind here, someone says something to me, then, maybe it's worth it.
Yeah.
I will never get to be for intensely. Until maybe recently, I did not know how to give myself grace and navigate seeing my sensitivity as a strength and knowing that it's like my gift, but it also means I have to care for it in specific ways. When you are given gifts, there's often kind of have to compensate in some other ways. And in the same way that like my position in life and fame has given me this extraordinary power, it's also given me a lot of responsibility. And
Wow. So you can see, oh my god, am I getting emotional? I don't know. Like, it's the way she said it. You can feel the emotion in her voice, and you could, like, if you notice, you could see her face was like she could tear up when she said like sensitivity is my strength, and she recently got that. I mean, she finally accepted that it is a gift, it is a strength. And as she rightly said, when you have given a gift, it you have to look after it. It's a package deal. It comes with its certain amount of baggage. So if you're sensitive, you care a lot about things, and that can be emotionally taxing. Like, you are doing more emotional labor than others, which means you will need more rest and more downtime, and you will have fewer friends because you give all of yourself to those people. So this is so beautiful that she's sharing that, and since she's speaking to millions of people who are watching her, who are following her, who see her as a role model. This is a beautiful thing she has said, and she has accepted it on a big platform, on so many, like in front of so many people. And this is where I feel our society is finally changing. I have been seeing this. I get emotional because I know how important it is to say these things out loud, because people have been suppressing it for a long, long time. If you know, you know. Like, I never showed my vulnerable emotional side since, like, it's only like three, maybe 2, 3 years I've started showing my more emotional, vulnerable and side, but otherwise you always hold it in, you don't share these things, and you just suffer silently, and you don't even call out the people who have hurt you. But now it's changing. More and more people are talking about these things. They're being open to change, and everybody is finally understanding that how our society is failing us. Like, sensitivity is there for a reason. If sensitive people are getting more anxious and they're getting into depression, that means there is something wrong in your society. That doesn't mean that these people are wrong. Oh my god. Oh my god, people will say things like, you're so sensitive, that's why you're getting anxious. No, there is a problem in my environment. Did you check? Did you check that? No. So we blame people, but we fail to see what is their environment like, why they are behaving like they are behaving. I understand that we have to take responsibility for our own actions, but if someone is just a child, then how can you just say that it's their responsibility? You have to look at their environment, right? Even if someone's adult, you can be a little more compassionate and try to look into their lives as well, right? And if so many people are suffering from anxiety, mental health disorders, depression, and all those things, obviously something is going wrong within the society, right? So it's time we stop blaming people for being sensitive and start making changes that are needed in our society. That's making them even more sensitive. That's making them experience depression, anxiety, and all those things, because it's not natural to get panic attacks. Not natural. If our society would have understood, like if we would have been taught how to um, process our emotions, journal, meditate, we would have been in a very different place than we are right now. So it's time we start making those changes in our curriculum in school. We change our society's values, where we value output more than the process. We value the thing that human is doing more than who that human being is. So many workplaces and schools value that the teacher or the worker or employee is giving to them instead of how they are with people. They don't care if they are toxic with their subordinates, they only care about the output. But it doesn't work that well in the long run. So I'm really grateful that she's talking about these things and more people are started to speak up because it's not a me problem or you problem, it's our society's problem and everybody is going through it on some level. Sensitive people go through it first so that you can understand what is wrong with the society. That's why we have high sensitivity in our evolution. So please learn from it. Don't blame us for being sensitive because that's who we are and that's what our job, like, that's why we are here to, tell you when something is going wrong. So, like, this is very close to my heart, what she just said.
These things often have these kind of, I don't know when or why it started, but I think always, whoever it was that was suffering in the room, I was always the most aware of them. And I think that has formed a lot of why I could act. It was almost like I was kind of sucking all of this in, and then I needed to let it out somewhere or unleash it somewhere. And I remember when my parents saw me on stage for the first time afterwards, they were just like, where did that come from? You don't have any of these experiences. I recorded a song for my 12th birthday. My mum bought me a day in a recording studio. And I sing Natalie Imbruglia's Torn like I've had my heart broken 50,000 times, like I've been married and divorced and whatever. And I'm 12 and I've never had a boyfriend and I don't know anything about love.
Have you ever thought about where it came from? Or
I would imagine, I can't say for sure, I would imagine that my family
I believe she's an old soul.
structure has not been a traditional family structure. And that feeling of knowing that I'm from a situation where we just don't quite fit the kind of nuclear family mold. And I think coming back from France and trying to figure out how to sort of.
Actually, we don't realize, but these things do matter a lot, especially to highly sensitive people when your family is not quite normal and you can sense it. Like, it's not a normal situation, what is happening with my family. And like you just sense it and you feel that, oh, it's not normal. Like you feel kind of, it's very, I don't know, it feels like you have been cast out in some way because like sensitivity allows you to see um good and bad both sides, so you're very aware of the situation.
Integrate and being the eldest and having my younger brother and having my mum and like trying to sort of be some sort of glue or holding together for everyone's feelings. I'm pretty sure that's probably where it started.
Yeah.
And then I guess just being aware of other people who might feel the way I did, which is like, who else in here doesn't feel like they quite fit?
I've always found that it took me a while to recognize, but when I did, it was so helpful that a lot of what I do today is because I mediated my parents' marriage growing up.
Yeah.
And so I developed all these skills of listening and empathy and grace and
Yes.
compassion because I was doing it for two people that I loved.
Yes.
And I see it as a strength. And yes, it
Yes.
comes with certain things, for sure. It
Yeah.
comes, you're absolutely right. But at the same time, I've always seen it as a strength.
Yes.
And it's something that has served me well in my marriage. It's served me well in my relationships. And at the same time, it has certain consequences
Things.
that
Yeah.
make you different.
Like you have to turn your childhood pain, you can say, into your purpose. Many times it happens, like your trauma becomes your purpose later in life.
Or
Yes.
make you process things differently. And so,
Yeah.
and I remember one thing you shared with me that I was reading it. You said I used to spend my weekdays with mum and my weekends with dad.
Yeah.
And you said it almost felt like you were changing costumes sometimes.
Yes.
And they're all
Yeah.
like this two lives kind of thing.
Yes. Yes.
And I feel that's so relatable. I feel like so many people can relate to that, whether their family.
So maybe some of you are thinking, why are they talking about childhood and all these things? Because sometimes I do feel like I talk about these things a lot because I love to reflect on my life. But you know what? This is a quality and a skill. So if someone is telling you you're doing it too much, yes, anything you do too much, like, yeah, it can take over your life. But you can always direct it because, like, I have been obsessed with psychology, childhood trauma, and all those things, but I sort of made it into my career, so it's all good. I mean, so obviously, you don't have to dwell in it. And Emma also shares that a point came when she wanted to stop, like, dwelling on it. But reflecting on your past is a good thing, and most people don't actually. So always see it as a strength and a skill because that's what helps you understand yourself better and allows you to don't repeat the same mistakes and learn from your past. Otherwise, you would just go into loops and loops and loops and repeat the same life and live in autopilot, which most of the people do really. So it's very important to reflect on your life. Like it's very important to have pauses in your life. That's why there is like you take a weekly pause, monthly pause. Even every day when you journal at night, you take a pause, you talk to yourself, you think about your day, how it went. So that's what taking a pause look like. Some people do it yearly. They could take a pause and reflect on their year. But sometimes you need a longer pause, like you look back in the 5 years you had. So reflecting, taking a pause is really important because it helps you bring out something new and you recognize where you are just repeating a pattern. And instead of doing that, you allow yourself to get out of that circle and create something new. It actually inspires you and you become your own inspiration when you reflect on your past life. So it's important to talk about things and take time for these things as well what you're doing in your current life. So everybody should take time to have pauses, little pauses in their life. Otherwise, like life will throw you a curveball and then you have to take a pause forcefully. So if you do it regularly, check in with yourself, reflect on yourself. And I believe it should be included as a mental hygiene, like as you go to a dentist, like as you go to take your physical checkup, like 6 months, a yearly, you should actually visit a psychiatrist or psychologist every month. If like you should go actually every week when you're starting, because you don't know what's inside. Most people have never talked about their past, and many painful things do come up, and you don't know how much relief you get once you talk about it. So I believe everyone should do it. Like it's a normal part of their life. Yes, I believe I am being the example. I'm doing it, and you watching, you are also doing it. And I hope more people start doing it so that our society is at a better pace and we are more empathetic towards each other and more loving towards our own selves, because now we don't love ourselves. Self love is very low. Like people are the people who are getting jealous or insecure, they just don't love themselves. So if we look into our past, pause and reflect, take time to care for ourselves, then we would love ourselves more. So I really hope we start doing it more.
Family was more traditional or wasn't. I
Yeah.
think every child has had this feeling of not fitting in quite and not knowing
Yes.
which life they're meant to lead. And that
Yes.
feels like it's kind of
Yes.
played into yours.
Yes, for sure. I think it's also why I've had to really navigate my relationship towards art and acting, because I'm pretty sure that I was using acting as a way of escaping how painful my parents, like, it wasn't just the divorce, it was just like the continuing situation of living between two different houses and two different lives and two different sets of values. And as a child, like being aware of like, we don't quite have the support we need here for this. Like, this is not quite, we're not quite like, and I think it does. It makes
I believe in this situation, you're not able to say you're feeling bad because you're already going through these things. Your parents are going through these things, so you're not able to express your own emotions because you're already aware that so much is going on. And yeah, so many, like even I go through these things and they're not able to express their own emotions. Like they feel like their own emotions would now be a burden because they're already in a chaotic situation and they're so aware of everybody else's emotions, especially if they're highly sensitive. So yeah, it would have been very painful experience
you,
for her as a child.
it made me a slightly serious child because I was like, had that consciousness. And then when I would go and spend the weekend with my dad, it was like a very different set of rules, very different situation. And so you kind of like, and I think everyone can relate to this to an extent, that it's not that you are like wanting to become different people, but it's you, there are different expectations of you in different places that you understand that you need to fill. And so I think some of that split then became, I was like, okay, wow, my parents had very different views on different things. And the hard part of that was that no one gave me any easy answers. It meant I had to form all of my own opinions myself because there was no consensus. And it made me a critical thinker for sure, because And so that was amazing, and also really like,
You can see like she turned around a negative situation into a good one. You see? So she talked about how painful it was, but she now concluded that it made her a critical thinker. That's a very good quality to have, to turn any situation into good, into your favor. And that is a core belief I also developed in me. Like everything is always working out for me. Everything works in my favor because it does. Like if you look back at your life, everything is always working out for you. Like, yeah, it doesn't look like in that moment, but it makes sense when you like look back at it. Yeah, you can turn anything that has happened into your life into your favor. Anything. So, yeah, when something is happening, you do have to remind yourself that, okay, this is painful. Yes, I feel sad, I feel pain inside me, but I have this knowing that this is happening for a reason. Maybe this pain is helping me grow and just know more about myself, bringing out my potential, and ultimately, everything always works out for me. So, when you have that mindset, you always win at life. You're always winning at life, and you have that baseline of positivity, optimism, and having a grateful heart. And I know how painful it feels since you are a highly sensitive person in that moment. I know you feel all those emotions. I also feel them. But still, that knowing is in the back of your head and it allows you to keep going, even in that, in the most painful circumstances. That's what keeps you going. So developing this mindset that everything happens for a reason, everything is always working out for me. Pain is there to bring out more my potential, and everything is always working out for me. This mindset is what will help you be happy and grateful and live a fuller life.
gosh, okay, I need to decide what I think is important in life and what my opinions are. No one's handing me this. Yeah, maybe it also made me aware of not wanting to be so split as well, and why it's been important to me to try to remain whole in all the different circumstances of my life, and ask myself questions about how I can do that best, because I think I experienced as a child that the split is painful. Like, if you're living a reality one way but presenting something else, those are the moments when you can really feel torn apart. And I recognized that, and I didn't want that to be my life. I didn't want pretend to be my real life.
Yeah, I mean, that's so, I can so relate to you personally on the idea of not having a blueprint and having to create my own.
Yeah.
And how often when you don't have a blueprint, you feel you have two choices, and that's where you feel torn. Whereas when you look at it as a whole and go, okay, well, now I get to craft my own narrative from this.
Yes.
And I may take a few pieces from here and a few pieces from here, and I'm going to form my own puzzle.
Yeah.
But I don't have to choose a path.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful when you when you do it, but it's really hard in the beginning because it just feels like there are two paths. And I wanted to talk about how much that's impacted, your work. And you said you said that one thing you mentioned that really stood out to me was you felt that acting was in some way escaping that kind of which version do I have to be? And I think
So we are going into another topic, and this is a really good one because many highly sensitive people express or release their pain through art. So I can definitely relate where she's going with it. But let's take a break. I believe let me post this video in parts, otherwise it would be too long. So thank you for watching till here, and if you stick like you stuck with me till the end of this video, please share a heart emoji in the comment section to let me know that you are actually watching this, and give me the motivation to keep doing and record the second part of this video. And if something really stood out to you when I was speaking, then do let me know and share your insights and how you felt, and have you watched this podcast, and anything you want to talk about. Let's connect in the comments below. Let's engage. I really want to hear from you. Every single one of you have reached 65 subscribers now, and it is like every subscriber is very important to me. On YouTube you can't see or talk with your subscribers as such, so let's engage in the comment section below, and let me know what you think. So thank you so much for listening to me today. See you in part 2 of this reaction to Emma Watson's podcast. Till then, take care. See you. Bye.